What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Will he destroy those who plan to return?
Certainly.
Then they would accuse Tempest, stirring up rage and revenge among their subjects. Bernie confidently stated that the Intelligence Bureau will operate in this manner.
700,000? That is not feasible.
Those who underwent the transforming procedure did not significantly lose power. We'd be fighting among ourselves if we retaliated.
When the officers started to complain, Minutes stopped them with his hand.
Do you know someone who could pull that off?
While many people wanted to argue that this was crazy, Minutes maintained his composure. Calgurio didn't say anything as he recalled his own awakening. It wasn't impossible with that strength, he reasoned.
Is it feasible with single digits?
If we just said we could do it, it would be possible, but that's just on paper. Excellent individual strength helped the offense but hurt the defense. There would be some regions that could not be defended if one was outnumbered. Similarly, pursuing a fleeing foe was not proper. They would unavoidably get lost if they dispersed and fled.
And in this instance, it was necessary to kill all of them. Bernie didn't know anyone who could do that, except for one individual.
You know that such a thing is not conceivable, don't you? However, someone is out there. There is a true monster in the Empire who is capable of doing it.
Bernie shuddered in terror as he thought of that person. Only those who have experienced them can truly comprehend their beauty and terror. Knowing what it meant, Bernie experienced some misfortune.
Is it truly that terrifying to you, a single digit? It appears that I was wrong.
Minutes spoke while slouching heavily in his chair and gazing upward.
Me too. I had aspirations of enlisting in the military and establishing the Empire's world dominance. However,
all of this was settled on a long time ago in a location unrelated to the military. The power game being played by someone else had no room for the unawakened from the beginning.
This was stupid.
I feel as silly as a clown.
Minutes and Calgurio exchanged sad-looking glances. Calgurio and the others weren't the only senior officers present who appeared to have just awoken from a dream as they were bemoaning it. Bernie thought it was pathetic. The truth would not have satisfied them, yet they would have been happy not knowing it. That's why Bernie spoke out of turn.
Now you realize. Do you understand the situation? Nothing except despair awaits you if you return. So just wait until the conflict is over while you are held captive here.
Do you have any plans, Bernie Dono?
I'm returning to the Empire. Given that the battle won't end in this manner, His Majesty Rimuru will attempt to sit down and negotiate with the Empire. They'll require a guide then, won't they?
That guide would most likely be destroyed. Since Bernie had lost his power, he would likely be killed. Everyone remained silent as they sensed Bernie's resolve. They were aware that the Demon Lord Rimuru was in charge of determining their fate. I chose to proceed to the labyrinth's 70th floor after conveying my gratitude to Veldora and Ramirez. Because of the ceremony from yesterday, Adelman was sound asleep. Even though the harvest festival had started, Adelman's fortress remained in ruins. He had been put to sleep as a result and taken to the ground floor guest room of the main building. In order to wake up soon, Albert and Wenty were also placed in an empty room. The Imperial Army detainees were the problem. They were under Adelman's care, and it would be dangerous to leave them unattended. In addition, I had planned to ask them about the Empire now that things had settled down. I made the decision to go see how they were because it was a fantastic opportunity. My two secretaries came along with me. I could be sure that nothing would ever happen to me with these two.
Rimuru-sama shouldn't have to go alone.
So, will you please go for me?
Yes, you should go and talk to them.
Then I suppose we ought to go together.
Diablo continued to be reliable. Is this also true of Xian? She never made the decision to go on her own. In any case, I would never have allowed Xian to go alone. As I was being held in Xian's arms, I was considering this. Despite the evolutionary ritual these two had undergone the day before, they were still in excellent spirits. After one night, Xian was the same as before. Diablo then returned to his completely natural state.
Did you learn a new skill, then?
I was successful in learning an ultimate skill, thanks to Rimuru-sama. I can now stop listening to Guy's irritating bragging.
Guy probably thinks that Diablo is the annoying one. Somehow I was totally certain of it.
Why didn't you just go grab one by yourself if you were that irritated? I believe Diablo could have acquired an ultimate skill without my assistance, correct?
That's not how it works, I assure you. It would be awkward if Guy directed me to grab it since it would appear that I was copying him.
I don't understand it. Imitation is not the point here. I figured that should be okay as long as it's helpful, but was I mistaken?
Diablo has a narrow mind. Isn't there a saying that hearing is a temporary shame, but not hearing is a lifetime shame? I've always paid attention to what others have to say because Rimuru-sama taught me that. I learned the fundamentals of cooking from Gobichi Dono as well, and I now possess a license.
Shien had a smug expression on her face as she spoke to him, but I believe that was simply the result of Gobichi fleeing from her. Please don't make Shien think she can do something when she can't. I'm hoping you'll take charge of Shien and look after her till the very end.
Is that the explanation? Gobichi Dono was recently admitted to the hospital. Being constantly exposed to Shien's food, it is only natural for him to fall ill.
Oh, I see. That is not Gobichi-kun's fault, in my opinion. Shuna would never attempt to taste it because Diablo had previously endured an unpleasant experience in this situation. Benimaru has to be the culprit, I reasoned. Yes, Benimaru was in charge of educating Shien, and I would make sure to emphasize this to him. This did not constitute harassment of a newlywed. I hope I didn't come across the wrong way. We finally reached our destination as we were having such a talk. Everyone who saw me quickly rose up and saluted me after I moved to the hillside of the 70th floor. I don't believe it is the proper method to handle a demon lord from an adversary nation, but Diablo and Shien were content, so I didn't dwell on it.
He is here! His Majesty Rimuru! Call Sir Calguria right away!
The soldiers then lined up and started moving in a flurry of activity in the direction of a solitary tent. It appeared that Calgurio and his soldiers were currently convening in that tent for a military conference. This was communicated to us before being shown the tent. There were around 100 soldiers inside the tent. They all gave me a salute while maintaining a straight posture. To witness such a response even here, I must admit, startled me a little. I mean, I'm a slime and I used to be the king of an enemy nation. Since I was not treated with contempt despite the fact that I was a slime, I guess Wisdom King Raphael-san's strategy was more successful than I had anticipated. Well, if you give it some thought, it makes sense. It might be best to follow instructions from someone who has the power to both kill and revive you. I'm sure I wouldn't want to confront someone who was that scary. I concurred that this was the situation and followed instructions to sit at the head of the table. I assumed a human form, of course, to appear respectable in this setting. Shien and Diablo were following me. I jumped out of Shien's arms, and she appeared a little disappointed. I gave everyone a quick glance before speaking.
Okay, men, it's great to see the top brass in attendance.
Yes!
At once, they all bowed their heads, which made it even more challenging for me to communicate with them. I urged everyone to have a seat before getting down to business.
Relax, everyone. I'm here to speak with you folks right now.
I told them that and gave them a smile. I hoped that by doing this, they would feel more at ease and that our meeting would go smoothly.
Adelman may be unable to come for some time since he has some business to attend to. I therefore wanted to know whether you had any requests.
Too kind of you to say that. Please do not worry about people like us, as we have been nicely taken care of.
So rigid. Calgurio responded on behalf of everybody, entirely obedient to us. No, I think this was a typical approach. This was the proper course of action because they had lost the battle.
Good. Next, let's talk about our future plans.
Yes, on that note, we also have a request for you.
A request? I asked him only out of curiosity, but I hoped it would be reasonable. Then Calgurio presented an unexpected offer.
We would like to see whether your country can temporarily accommodate us and would appreciate your goodwill and assistance.
What? I focused on the specifics. As per Calgurio, they had been talking about their future plans just now. They came to the conclusion that even if they went back to the Empire, there was a good chance that they would all be executed.
No, you, stop being ridiculous. What type of nation murders its own troops who fought for it just because they failed?
I was so shocked that I was unable to think about it.
But I believe that would be the case, for sure.
Who is that? It's Bernie. He spoke to me about the problem in a calm and orderly manner, as if he weren't the same person who had attacked us before. It was challenging to conclude that such a thing wouldn't occur based on what he described.
Killing 1 million people to awaken just one? You've got to be joking.
It is true.
No, hold on a sec. If that's the case, it seems strange that Veldora's unsealing caused the military invasion to be delayed. Perhaps they were misinformed and were expecting Veldora to resurrect?
I don't know what Emperor Rudra was contemplating. However, I believe that His Majesty Rimuru's assessment is accurate.
Is Bernie really this guy? He's being polite to the point that I'm wondering if he's a different guy. The real objective of Emperor Rudra wasn't just to win the battle. By placing the warriors of the Empire up against a formidable foe, he hoped to choose the strong men who would be awakened. It was an excessively huge and out-of-the-ordinary action.
Answer. A pretty intriguing concept.
You moron. It's not humorous at all to use humans as test subjects. Actually, Wisdom King Raphael-san has a side like that as well. Zijin was a good illustration of success, but I'm afraid that I might be subjected to an experiment without being told.
No. Such a fact has not been verified.
Really? I guess I'll accept that portion. Anyway, let's put that on hold for the time being. Calgurio had made a request, and the only question was whether or not to grant it.
You'll also have to pay for your meals though. Food will need to be imported for 700,000 people from other nations.
When I learned that they would be put to death, I was hesitant to toss them out. However, I genuinely believed that there was no justification for protecting them in my nation. All I had to worry about were my own people. Even though I'd like to think that I only wanted them to have a good life, I knew I couldn't ignore this. The arrival of 700,000 professional soldiers would not go unnoticed by the Kingdom of Bloomend and other Western nations. There would be needless bloodshed even if we did nothing wrong. Nevertheless, to demand that they go back to the Empire would be harsh. If you save a life, you should be accountable for it all the way through. I was compelled to look after them. It was impossible to expect me to do that without offering me something in return.
In our nation, we actually put the proverb to use. He who does not work does not eat. Is it okay if I ask each of you to earn your own rations?
After nervously awaiting my response, Calgurio and the others' faces lit up when they heard what I had to say.
Yes, of course.
At your disposal.
Despite not yet knowing what they would be doing, they appeared to be highly motivated. So long as that's the case, I'll let them stay. I had initially believed that taking prisoners of war from the Empire would be pointless. There was no agreement during the conflict, thus there was none at all. They turned out not to be a negotiating chip for the ceasefire, according to what Bernie told me. If such were the case, it would be wiser to embrace them as a labor force. Although the length of their stay was uncertain, they would serve us at least to the end of the conflict with the Empire. It's possible they won't be useful, but it depends on how long they'll be here for. All I could do was hope they might be somewhat helpful. Calgurio and the others didn't appear to be inclined to contradict what I said, so I decided to give them to Geld and allow him to utilize them. But Geld was currently dozing out in an evolutionary nap. Since he wouldn't be awake for a while, I'd have to find out what they could do in the meanwhile.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Marl Barsha, Jacob Philip Samson, Jason Martin, Sanketh Chalu, Homelike Drop, Edmund, Aditya Vyas, Andrew Lu, Ralph Ignacio, Fawaz Sala, Chris Nelson. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.